What's up, YouTube? So it's been a while since we've made a video, but we're gonna get back into it, start making some more videos. I got a new camera. So today I've got in a black F-150, and I can't think of the year. It's like a 2008 maybe. But I'll stitch in some pictures of the before because I've actually already gotten started on it. The hood and the roof needs to be painted. The paint is like blistering down to the metal on the hood, and the roof has some rust that started. So we're gonna have to strip the hood all the way down to bare metal, and we're gonna have to strip the roof all the way down to bare metal. And on these, the hood is aluminum, so you know, we'll have to be careful with that. But we don't have any rust on the hood. We got rust on the roof, so we'll have to grind all that down and get it clean and put some epoxy on it. But I'll do a time lapse of doing the hood, finishing the hood. Like I said, I've already started on it. I'll stitch in a picture. I'll do a time lapse of the roof, grinding it all down and cleaning it all up. Anyway, we'll get started on this and we'll bring you along. Alright, so here's the truck. Got it in the shop. I've already started working on it. This is the aluminum hood. I've got it mostly stripped down. I'm gonna go ahead and just get all the paint off, just in case it's, you know, may give a problem in the future or something if I don't. So I'm gonna go ahead and strip all the paint off the hood. And then the roof is covered in dust, so it's hard to see, but you can tell there's surface rust all over it, all in the valleys, and it's covered in dust from stripping the hood. But I will probably completely strip it also. The rest of the truck is in pretty dang good shape. Covered in dust. I mean, it's an older truck, but it's well taken care of. I've actually worked on this truck in the past. I think we painted one of the sides of it. I think the passenger side maybe. That's it. We'll get a time lapse together working on it and walk you through it. primed. Got it all down to bare metal. And put some epoxy primer on it just to give it a good sealing and good adhesion. So it's going to end up needing just a little bit of body work. There's 2 little bitty dings in it. I'll see if I can show them to you. One right there and one right there. And it's got a little bit of scratching from sanding it. I don't know why this camera won't focus. But that's done as far as primer goes. And we'll do the little bit of body work on it. And then we'll put some 2K primer on it. That epoxy stays open for like 7 days. So as long as I do my body work within the next day or two, and then I can put 2K primer on top of it, and I won't have to sand it beforehand. And I'm getting a little headway on the roof, but it's just a slow go. It takes forever. But it's about halfway ready for epoxy. I don't think it's going to need any body work. I can't really tell until I get done and get some epoxy on it. But then I'll be able to see, you know, if there's any little dings or dents or anything in it. But I'll get some time lapse together on the rest of this roof, and then maybe some priming on the roof, and I guess that's it. I got the so I got the roof stripped down. It's very time consuming to get rid of all the paint, but I've got it stripped down. Take a look at it. So now I just need to get it cleaned up. I'm going to wipe it down super good, make sure I don't have any flash rust anywhere, and then I'm going to tape it all up, and we're going to put a good wet coat of epoxy on it, and then we'll let it sit for a day or two, maybe a day, and then we'll put 2K on it, a 2K primer, like a high build primer, because there's really no body work on the roof. It's just you know, anything I've done with a grinder or anything, leaving a, you know, scratching the metal just a little bit. So that 2K primer will give us enough build to sand it all out really smooth, so it'll be slick as glass when we paint it. I am putting epoxy on it, and some may say, well, why don't you just sand the epoxy? But one thing with epoxy is 90% of your epoxies sand like rubber, so sanding that's not really an option, and it doesn't build as high as the 2K, so we'll put that 2K on there, sand it down, and then it'll be a perfect finish for paint. I got the roof. I went over it with some 80 grit all over it to make sure we get good adhesion. I got it trimmed out with some tape, and I'm ready to put it in the booth and put some plastic on it and spray the epoxy. I've wiped it twice with wipe down, probably wipe it another time. I need to get the hood out of the booth, so I may go ahead and fix those little dings and put some 2K on it, set it out, then move the truck in there and put the epoxy on it. Alright, got that thing done. It's primed, out of the booth. Now it's time to move the truck in there, get some plastic on it, and get some epoxy on it. So that's the next day. I got the epoxy on that roof. It has a, not to get too technical, but this epoxy has a 7-day recoat window. So that means you can put anything on top of it within 7 days and it'll still bond. It'll adhere to it without sanding it. So that is done usually at 70 degrees. They figure that up at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's 150 here in Florida in the summertime. So I like to give it plenty, I like to do it quicker than that because it probably is about half that because of the temperature is so much higher here than 70. It's like 100 degrees yesterday. So I usually like to try to put something on top of it maybe the next day, and that gives it enough time to flash off, but not too much time where it won't bond. I figured I might show y'all some of the tools we used. This is a rotary grinder, DeWalt. This is what I use to knock off a majority of the paint. It's got an 8-inch pad on it and 80 grit sandpaper. It's the Velcro. Hook it. This is actually a rotary buffer. That's what I've used it for before, but it works pretty good at knocking down the paint pretty quickly. And then after that, to get rid of the rust, I use this angle grinder. I think it's a Harbor Freight deal, but these Row-Lock discs, if it'll focus, they work pretty good. Actually, they work great at getting rid of rust, but not actually grinding the metal too much. Scotch-Brite 3M. I don't know if you can read that. But they work pretty dang awesome for getting rid of rust and getting rid of paint, but it's not quite as quick as the rotary tool with the 88-inch. And then I like to go over it with a DA, just a regular 6-inch DA sander, and 80 grit on it, on the steel, just some 80 grit. This is also the Velcro stuff, but I mean the stick-on stuff will work. I like to run over it with that 80 afterwards to give it a good tooth to bite into on the metal. On the aluminum, I went with 180 just because the aluminum will it's a lot softer metal, so it'll kind of dig into it, so I'd like to go with a 180 on it. On the DA, I like to use a DA that has a long throw. It's a bigger, I'm trying to think of the word, but it has more of a throw than a finishing DA. Like I have a DA that just has a small throw that's for finishing and stuff, and then that cheapo Harbor Freight one has a long throw, so it cuts down quicker. It cuts the material down quicker. But anyway, I thought I'd show you some of those tools that we used to get to that point. And now it's time to put the truck still in the booth, taped up, ready to go. I'm gonna I don't think there's any body work. I'm gonna give it a good look over, but I think it's ready for 2K. It's a weekend today, but I figured I better come in and put some 2K on this thing. I got this little beamer out here that I got to do a little quick job on today too. So we'll get all this done and get a time lapse on it. Also, I wanted to apologize for the GoPro footage. I tried doing the GoPro on my head, like a point of view thing on all the grinding and stuff, and I was thinking we could speed it way up, but once we did speed it up, we kind of realized that it's real shaky and about make you sick. So we'll try to do stationary time lapse from here on out, but we went ahead and left that in there. Hopefully some of y'all like it. If not, you can skip ahead on it. But we'll get this primer put on. Got that done. It's been over the weekend. Give that 2K primer some time to shrink and dry up. I've already started on the hood, put me some guide coat on there, sanding it with 320. Then I'll put some black sealer on it, some 2K black sealer, and go to my black base coat and then clear. So now it's just a bunch of sanding to get everything flat and smooth and ready for paint, and then it's paint time. Well, I skipped a little bit. I went ahead and I got the hood painted. I didn't get it on video. We had some internet problems and some stuff got struck by lightning, but anyway, I got the hood sprayed. All I did was finish sanding it, then put it in here, wiped it down a couple times, and tacked it off, and put my 2K black sealer down. Then I put my base coat, 2007 Ford, I can't remember the code, but anyway, it's just straight black pretty much. Got a little blue in it, a tiny bit of yellow for some reason, but that's it. And then obviously my clear. But it turned out good. There's no dents, no dings, couple specks of trash. But overall, very clean. So that's done. It's just sitting in the booth drying. Now I got the truck out and I got it untaped. It's been sitting over the weekend, and today is Tuesday, so it's had plenty of time to cure. You know, in the perfect world, I would like to let 2K primer, a 2K urethane primer, sit like a week in the sun or a little longer. But in the collision business, we just don't have time to do that. You know, it would just be sitting there, wasted time, you know. So I like to try to do it before the weekend. That gives it the weekend. It's a little bit of time to shrink and do what it's going to do, and then I can move it in and sand it. In a restoration shop, they probably a lot of times would, you know, let their 2K urethane primer sit longer, but there's just not time in the collision business. And it's ready to sand. It's got 2 coats of epoxy on the bare metal, and then 2 coats of 2K urethane primer. I did remove that antenna, if anyone was wondering about that. I had to drop the headliner down a little bit. I taped around the third brake light. I'll take it out when I paint it. But now it's time to sand that and tape it up and put it in the booth. And I'm not sure if I have any bust throughs to the bare metal. I'll probably put a coat of epoxy sealer on it. I'll thin down the epoxy and put 1 coat on it before I put my paint. But if I don't have any bust throughs to the bare metal, I'll probably just go with the 2K sealer, 2K urethane sealer, base coat and clear coat. But we'll do a time lapse on this sanding and painting. We'll go from there. Got that done. I think the camera may have got too hot because it cut off about halfway through the time lapse. But anyway, I took the little molding pieces off on both sides, sanded down in those channels really good, removed the third brake light, sanded all down in there really good, trimmed it out with tape, wiped it twice with a wax and grease remover, and I'll wipe it again with my waterborne wipe down. I've got one or two tiny little bust throughs down to the metal. What I'll do, I've got an etch wipe that's like a wipe, and you just wipe the bare metal spot right before you paint, and it's supposed to give it some corrosion protection, like putting an epoxy on it or something, or an etch primer. So I'll do that, put my 2K sealer on black, and then we'll go to base coat and clear coat. I'll swap over to it. I got it in the booth. Lights are off in here. But I got it trimmed out. Oops. Trimmed out and ready. I gotta put the plastic over it, cover the body. I got the booth all blown out good, my stool's in place and ready. This channel, I taped it where I'll put paint all the way down in that channel. And the line, there'll be a straight line, but it'll be under the new piece of molding that goes there. But I like to get some extra paint down in there because there's never enough paint in there to begin with from the factory. So anyway, we'll get another time lapse together on painting and go from there. The hood obviously is done. I already showed it, but I got it out here. But we'll do the time lapse on painting, and then all we got to do after that is put this thing back together and give it a good cleaning, and it'll be ready to go. Alright, we got this thing untaped out of the booth. The roof's done, the hood's done. All we got to do is put it back together. I got the roof molding to put back on, the third brake light, the XM antenna or whatever that little antenna is on there. I got the headliner dropped down a little bit. I got to put all that back up in there. Shouldn't take me very long. I ordered new trim because the old trim was a little bent and didn't look right, and I really couldn't get it off without making it a little worse. Here's the new trim and the little pieces that go in the back. Third brake light had the lens missing. I went ahead and ordered one of those. It's supposed to be here today. Turned out pretty good. This is the trim that we got to put back in there. There's a piece of rubber that goes in there. Got to put the hood back on, put the little bug deflector back on, the grill. I'll get it all put together, then we'll give it a good wash. Alright, got it all done. Got it put together. Got it washed. I'll stitch in some pictures after this clip and of it all done. And thank y'all for watching. I know this one's kind of been a long one. Comment, subscribe, like. If y'all want us to do some different type videos, just let me know in the comments. This one was a little longer than I like to do, but I got a lot of footage doing it, so I just went ahead and put it all in. So on the next ones, I'll try to do a little more short and sweet. But thanks for watching.